Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week 11 of 12 of the Modiragatsi competition. And tonight is a big evening for a number of reasons. We will once again have a personal development section that is aimed at a very important topic. But I will also then, after we have interviewed them and asked them your questions, focus on the judging criteria that you will have to adhere to be the ultimate winner. So remember to stay tuned for the entire hour this evening so that you can gain the most from this experience. I know I say it all the time, but I really can't imagine that it's been 11 weeks already and that we're so close to the end. It's really going by way too fast. So while we're almost finishing up this great event, I want to remind you that our other Mercita sponsored project called Femgineering is taking place between the 8th and the 12th of August this year, and that our winners for the Modiragatsi competition will also be announced on the 9th of August in conjunction with this Femgineering thing. So if you haven't done so already, please remember to register. We will once again send you the link. We'll also post the registration link here on YouTube as well, so that you can register to attend with us and that you can get that awesome goodie bag. And remember that the first 200 girls will receive a goodie bag. I think we're at 150 now, so there's still 50 goodie bags left. And you really want the content of that, I can promise you that. I've chosen every item in that personally, so please remember to register so that we can send it to you. Then focusing on the content for this week, I want to remind you that you are supposed to be working on your building a business with your idea part of the content. Remember, we're keeping everything open until the 5th of July, but if you have spare time, especially now that most of your exams are finishing, please start catching up if you fell behind at any point in the last few weeks with the exams. And then also this week we'll be focusing on networking. So yes, I think you should feel very empowered after these 11 weeks with all the new content that you have mastered, all the new skills that you have gained. And I really hope that you also use this opportunity to connect with other like-minded individuals. And I really hope that we achieved our goal in the personal development sections as well, that you have reflected on your own personal development. And I think from the questions you've asked every week, I'm sure that we have developed more than your technical skills. And again, you've mastered so many new topics in that regard. And this week, we will continue on our Daring to Dream section of the content with a specific focus on networking. So remember, I'm handing over to the K2Kids team now, and then after that, we'll ask them your questions. And after we have answered your questions, I'll also give you a brief overview of what's going to happen in terms of the judging for the entire Modiragatsi competition, so that you can be a winner and travel with me to Germany in December. I'm heading there on Friday again, and next week I will again join you from Berlin. But I really hope that by the next time after next week that I go, that I will take you with me. So make sure that you stay tuned and listen to what I have to share. But before we get to that portion, let's first hand over to the K2Kids team and see what they have in store today. Neville and Hanley, please take it away.
Thank you, Linda. We are so happy to be here, and we've enjoyed the past few weeks so much. Can also not believe we're at work at week 11. Let me just share my screen with you. That will help. Right. So today we are presenting the second last session. And as I said, we enjoyed our time with you and trust that you have given some thought, just as Prof. Lenta said, to the information you have heard and that you tried to implement some of the strategies. Don't worry if you couldn't get to everything. Just choose the things that are the most appropriate for you at this time and just try it out. So today we are going to talk about networking. Networking is so important when we are thinking about your dream. And we all want you to dream, dare to dream. This competition is all about making dreams come true. And networking is one of the skills that you'll need to make your dream come true. So now let's talk about networking. So that's not linked to computers, but it's all about interacting with others to exchange information and develop future employment-related contacts. Now, you may think that, sure, that's not a topic for high school learners. And maybe you've never paid attention to the concept before, or maybe you think the idea does not apply to you. But what if we tell you that networking is essential to your career and employment opportunities? Will you allow us to just talk you through? So let's talk about why.
Okay, so why to networking? I think you've all been in school and every adult emphasizes the importance of academic performance. Getting a job and studying for a career depends mainly on your academic marks. So although this is a critical factor, other factors such as networking are essential in preparing you for a career path. So why networking, you might ask? So there are several benefits of networking for teenagers. So the first one, when you interact with people from different fields, you will hear new facts, ideas, and insights. The novel information will spark your curiosity and ignite creativity, and is a key to spotting opportunities or initiating your project. So teenagers are notorious for having random, interesting ideas, so use them to your advantage. It builds your reputation as the second one. Your employability soars. Having a reputation of being an eager learner, dependable, and a goal-orientated teenager. So getting a break is often knowing about the right people. This is our third point. So connections with various businesses or professional people in your community may prove valuable when you least expect it. You never know when a random training or work opportunity may present, and the more connections you have, the better the chance of that happening. Networking skills development increases your confidence and self-worth while boosting your social confidence and ability to adapt to challenging situations. So this was already explained in previous situations when we spoke about resilience, so last week's session.
Okay, so that's quite a mouthful. Let's just think about it. What was the key words there? The key words was your reputation and connection to other people. So now let's talk about this connecting. Networking isn't just about knowing people. So if you read something as a teenager about networking, you'll find it's all about business and what do you do in a business or an employment sector. But it is also important that you start networking early on. And you have to keep in mind that it's not just about knowing people, and it's definitely not about selling. It is about establishing a real human connection and a very good reputation. Just like Neville said, networking is giving to others as much as receiving from someone. So you hear that? Networking is giving to others as much as receiving from someone. An example, maybe, and this one really happened, is that the person was helping as a volunteer at the local charity with minor mending of second-hand clothes. So they have to sew on buttons, and they have to stitch here and there on the second-hand clothes, putting in a hem. And then the haberdashery shop supplying the thread and buttons and other things, invited all the volunteers to a charity fashion parade. And then a person's free seat landed her next to a person who noticed the papier-mâché earrings she made just for fun. The evening ended with her only having one earring, and with her parents' mobile number in the lady next to her purse, because that lady was interested in using her idea in an upcoming magazine advertisement. So how cool is that? You get invited to a fashion parade, you have your homemade earrings, and somebody notices it, you get talking, and in the end, there is an opportunity knocking. So Michelle Jenné, author of the book, The Connect Worker, it's quite a nice book. In her book, she says, networking is about connecting people with people with ideas, and people with opportunities. That's so true. A story in the Philadelphia Business Journal in 2020, July 13, by Stan Silverman, can illustrate just that. He explained that in a 1994 interview with the Santa Clara Valley Historical Association, Apple's co-founder Steve Jobs told the audience of his experience when he, as a high school student, picked up the phone and asked Bill Hewlett, a co-founder of the Hewlett-Packard company, if he had any spare parts that he could give Jobs to build a frequency counter. Not only did Jobs get the parts, but he also landed a summer job on an assembly line manufacturing frequency counters in a Hewlett-Packard factory. And we know what happened to Steve Jobs. And it all started with an opportunity that he used. But developing networking skills takes time. And I can promise you, it is well worth the effort. In due time, this skill will help you advance your career or sell your unique ideas or products to the business world. So you've just taken the first step with this competition. And therefore, we want to encourage you. Think about networking and see how much of that you can already practice while you're in high school. In addition, there are many ways in which you can take small incremental steps towards being good at networking. So Neville, do you want to do the rest?
Yeah. So I think you've started to notice kind of the importance that networking plays and the opportunities that it can open up for you. So what we would like to do is, what things can you actually then do to start practicing networking? So there are various components of networking that can determine its success. So I'm going to just mention a few that can maybe help you to build your networking ability. So the first one is acknowledging others, and it's exactly what that is. So it's getting in a habit of acknowledging people who have a positive impact on you. So this can be via email or WhatsApp messages where you express your appreciation without asking anything in return. I think at first it will take a little bit of courage to take that first step, and it might feel a little bit awkward or embarrassing. But remember that people, no matter who they are, flourish when they are receiving positive feedback. And through that, you are learning to give credit where it is due in small ways that gets you just a little bit closer to get good networking skills. The power of words is put to effective use. The second one is sharing your experiences. And I think this connects well with networking, in which you share ideas. So be generous with the skills that you have. Offer small favors to people that may need your help, such as reviewing a math exercise or offering to read through a friend's essay for spelling errors. You may also offer help to an adult less confident with the latest social media gimmick, just to find that due word of mouth. You you are regarded actually then as an expert and your help is in a demand. So when you are generous with your skills, you build your reputation and stand out as an expert, which actually it gives you an opportunity. Asking advice, which is the third one. So when you are uncertain about anything or any aspect of a task, it's important to actually ask others to help you. Also ask yourself what actions enabled or did not work and how they made the other person feel involved. Who gave fair and level-headed advice, and who will steer away from when asking advice in the future. You will learn how people's actions predict future interactions. Remember, adults love to give advice. So if their job seems interesting to you, ask them what they have learned. How do they push past their fears, and what advice could they give you? The fourth one is finding a mentor. So a person whose personal and professional quality you admire. And that's something you can ask yourself. Who do you admire? Whose qualities do you admire? Then consider approaching that person to be your mentor with tips and guidance on honing your own networking skills when you go forward. The fifth one, consider volunteer work. Volunteering is an excellent way to build your reputation and learn life and business skills without fearing failure. And through this, you will actually meet interesting and diverse people from all occupations, which stimulates in return fresh ideas. You will also learn how to work alongside others, a critical skill in any employment setting and essential for entrepreneurial ventures. The sixth one is join activities or organizations in your community. What interests you and what is your passion? And that's a question you can ask yourself to kind of build that awareness of what you find interesting and what you want to be to build a life worth living. So join groups that share your interests and interact with them, share with them, and let them share with you. The seventh one, part-time work. So part-time work is tricky because within South Africa, you must be of the 16 years of age. However, it is something to keep in mind for the future, something you can already start building toward. Part-time jobs allow you to not only develop skills, but to develop a network. And that facilitates building connections and relationships that may help you in the future. Our last one is asking for help. An essential but less promoted network opportunity is asking for help when you find any aspect of this competition difficult. People are ready and willing to assist where they can. And by asking for help, they get to do what they love, you make a new connection, and you get the help that you need. Then one that I think is very important when it comes to networking, and a component that you can actually focus on, is social networking. Make sure that you would not mind a future lecturer or potential boss seeing whatever you post on social media. So nowadays, organizations and training institutions and employers are taking a closer look at your social media to get to know the potential student, bursary holder, or employee that they will be helping. So a squeaky clean social media image goes further than a questionable image. And social networking is the combination of social media and then networking, which actually streamlines your access to other professionals, others interested in your business, and valuable connections. So there was a LinkedIn report which surveyed more than a few sales individuals. And 89% of those individuals working in sales viewed social networking as fundamental to making a sale. So this just starts to highlight the importance of networking on a social media platform. So what are a few tips when it comes to social networking when you reach out to someone or you want to market your idea? The first one is don't focus too much on seniority. Often we have this idea or expectation that we need to reach out to the highest level people. It has to be directors or executives. But sometimes it can be someone a little bit lower that you can actually reach out to, which then starts to spread your idea or takes your idea with you to the right individual. So that's where networking plays an important role. It's not just about going to the highest people. It's about reaching out to anyone that can help you to connect to the right people. So be brief but personal in your first message. So we often have this idea we have to be formal, we have to have this good presentation of ourselves, and yes, that is true. But it's also key to be personal. It's also key to share a piece of yourselves for them to start to get to know you. Then ask for advice, but take advantage of your first transition. So the first time that you interact with this individual or message them on social media, it's important to ask for advice, but take advantage of that transition. Make sure that you give them the right information and take the right information away. And the last one is to pay it forward. When you've made a new connection and this has worked for you through social media, it's important to also contribute to other people who are on the same journey as you and to help and assist them to also get their business idea or get a good opportunity as you have. Social networking is essential for business, yes. However, it can play a key role in personal growth. So, for example, when you think about resilience and how reaching out when you need help can actually help you to adapt. And we've seen this in our previous presentations as well. In addition, you can reach out to someone who may have had experience in a similar situation or who may have expertise regarding your current problem. So social networking allows you to reach far and beyond what is solely in your immediate environment. But also be mindful of social networking. Remember that it also has disadvantages and should be used responsibly and in a meaningful way. Utilize it to develop, grow, and grab your opportunities.
Sure. So that is a mouthful. Now you've got a lot of things to think about, and we've explained the reason why you, as a high school learner, should think about networking. But I'm guessing that the question is coming up, but how? How do I do it? And what do we do? And the first thing you need to do is to introduce yourself. So let's look at that introduction and how we start networking step by step. Experts say, and you've heard a lot about the brain and your brain processes. So try as we speak about this, think about the things that you can remember about the previous sessions. So experts say it takes 7 seconds to determine for a person whether they like you and if they want to engage with you. And that is so important for networking, because in that 7 seconds, that person is going to decide whether they are going to talk to you, be your mentor, whether they are going to give you advice. So that is critical that you use that 7 seconds the best way you can. The decision of that person is mainly based on what they see. The decision is based on appearance, your behavior, the way you communicate, and your digital footprint, just as Neville explained to you. And in the previous sessions, we spoke about your behavior and how we can communicate to others effectively. So you see, all of this is connected. You have to maybe go back and review some of the presentations that you already had. And remember, our brains process all that information super fast. By now, you've had a glimpse of your brain's inner workings and the power you have when attending to that running processes of your brain. And those processes are important when you're doing something, when you're talking, when you're thinking. All of those processes determines how you appear to others. Remember also that what happens in your head happens in your body. And the most important thing is, remember, what happens in your head is also happening in everybody else's head. So we are people with brain processes running like mad, and we have to navigate our way around that. So what we want to say to you with this slide is, when you introduce yourself, first impressions count. So you have to allow your body and your brain to make the best of that moment. And how do we get there? Well, If you can, keep a playful mindset, because that sets the stage for everything else to happen. And then breathe, smile, and ensure that you are showing positive body language. An open, friendly gesture is essential when introducing yourself. Your voice will sound confident and clear when you breathe calm and deep. And when you smile, the other person's neurons in their brain will respond similarly. So when you smile, they will find themselves smiling too. And that's a good starting point for networking. Your tone of voice will be inviting when your gestures are open and friendly. So when you fold your arms, your voice will sound slightly different, and your body language will be different from when you are talking with your hands like this, using your tone of voice and using your body movements to make yourself sound friendly. The other person's brain will perceive you as non-threatening. And if you add and make sure that you've got that playful mindset, you are set to kick off a good conversation with ample opportunity for neural coupling. You remember neural coupling? And neural coupling is exactly what you need for authentic connections with others, and that is networking. So, again, a mouthful, but I hope you guys are getting our message. But how do we do that? How do you get to be confident and to introduce yourself? Take a good look. There's 7 steps. Take a good look at yourself in a mirror at home and think, what do you see? And unfortunately, it is still so that neat, clean, tucked in, and matching colors is still the best look. Neat, clean, tucked in, and matching colors might be very boring, but our brains prefer that when we meet somebody else. So that's not good news for teenagers, I'm sure. But if you venture into networking, it might be the time to go for that look. Then a straight back, leveled shoulders, and head up with a slight chin tuck is a winning posture in any culture or social context. So that's something that we need to practice, because with us sitting in chairs, being in school most of the day, hunching over our schoolwork, the work that you have to do for this competition, and also lying down on a couch watching television, or lying on your bed and just working with your texting on your cell phone, working with an iPad, we tend to lose this straight back, leveled shoulders, head up, and slight chin tuck posture. It's something that we have to make sure that we know how it feels. So do it and check yourself in the mirror. The following pointers were discussed in detail in previous sessions, so I'm not going to go into detail again. But if you missed something, and you're wondering about some of the things that we're saying, go back to refresh your memory. So remember, always to have a two-way conversation, matching your conversational partner's tone. So you can't be talking wah, 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 and your conversational partner say wah, wah. Make sure that you are giving your conversational partner enough time. Choose your words carefully. We explain to you the power of words. Listen intently and remember to show you're listening by giving the nod. And then listen for one concept that your conversational partner is saying and link your next question or comment with that idea. Also, ask open-ended questions, and that is questions that do not require only a yes or no answer, such as, I want to hear more. It is so interesting. And then wait. Because if you wait, if you say, I want to hear more, it's so interesting, the other person is compelled to answer you and to take the conversation further. If you must ask a question about a specific issue you want help with. Therefore, prepare a few relevant questions before you enter networking conversations. And sometimes you will feel, oops, you don't know enough to add to a conversation. And if you feel that you cannot add meaning to the conversation, benchmark what you know. State to your conversational partner or to the group that you're talking to what you know, and ask that person what they would do, how they will approach the problem, or any advice they have on improving what you do. During this competition, you will have many opportunities to practice the 7 steps with your teachers, other participants, and the team responsible for this competition. And then always act confident. There is a saying or a quote that says, confidence is the best outfit.
So with confidence in mind, I promise I won't give you a mouthful this time, but acting confident is not always easy. Sometimes you have butterflies, sometimes you feel anxious or your palms are starting to sweat. So it is not always easy to be confident, but acting confident or feeling confident can actually be developed. It can be learned. So if you think back to previous presentations that we had about self-regulation and coping and resilience, there were some activities that built confidence. So I would please ask you to go back to them as well to see what you can do to build confidence. So one of those activities that I would just like to mention here is building mastery. And that was one of the practical exercises that we referred to when you want to build confidence. So building mastery means doing something each day, just one activity that enables you and us to become more masterful. So as we continue to constantly complete tasks every day, we start to build our self-belief. So Vincent van Gogh once said, if you hear a voice within you say, you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. So here are just a few questions that you can actually ask yourself. Questions that you can reflect on, questions that you can say, okay, yeah, I'm feeling confident. This is what I'm good at. So the first one is, what am I good at? So this can be a skill, it can be a strength, it can be something practical. But what are you good at? The second one is, what am I proud of? What do I feel a sense of achievement and a sense of being proud when I actually do that task? And that's also something that you can reflect on. It can be something that you said you were good at, or it can be something that you weren't good at, but you actually gave a chance. You actually tried. And the last one is, what did I feel like when I did it? Did I maybe feel a little bit embarrassed? Did I feel a sense of achievement? Did I feel a sense of self-belief in that, you know what, this might not be as bad. I am able to do this. If I continue learning, I will be able to achieve this task or build this strength.
So Neville and I want to encourage you to just take a moment with this slide and jot down a few ideas and keep that in mind, keep it in your pencil case, but just make sure that you look at it every day. What are you good at? What are you proud of? And what did you feel when you did that activity? Because that will help you when you go into networking opportunities to build your confidence, as Neville said. It is when you embark on some networking activities, feeling a bit unsure or fearful is very normal, but you can navigate through it. Your goal with networking is to make meaningful connections, and there are many ways to get there. It's like driving to a designated event in a car. So picture yourself all dressed up for the occasion and getting into your vehicle. Well, if it's not you, getting into the vehicle with your parents, and then they don't know where you need to get to, and you have to type in the destination on your cell phone's GPS to get your mom and dad there. But then more than one road pops up. So you can choose any route and your ETA may differ, but you will definitely get there. So with networking, in the same way, you should focus on connecting with others despite your fears. Just ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Okay. And then you ask yourself, what is the best that can happen? And also ask yourself, how likely is it that the worst can happen? So somewhere between the worst and the best that can happen lies the experience that you will have. You will find that it's seldom the worst thing that happens. Often it's a good or the best thing that can happen. And most of the time it's somewhere in the middle. And if we understand that, we can think about this as a road. It will get you to connecting with other people, making that meaningful connections. It will never be just bad. It might often surprise you. So do not shy away from this. Try it and practice it. It will soon be one of your superpowers. And this competition is definitely the opportunity for you to try that networking. So your mirror is your best ally. All the things that Neville and I said to you tonight, practice it in your mirror. Practice looking the part, acting the part, and sounding the part. Maybe make sure that nobody else in your family is at home, because they might have a few strange ideas about you. But your mirror is the one person that won't be critical. Your mirror will be very patient with you, and your mirror doesn't have a brain, so you can practice it over and over and over again until you feel confident. And as Neville said, mastery is very important. When you've practiced this, you will feel more confident to try it. And remember, nothing is ever perfect. Practice makes perfect. So use your mirror. And with that, we hope that you're going to ponder about networking, maybe review some of the information that you received in the previous sessions. And then next week, our last session, we will be putting all of this together and come up with a practical plan for you that you can put somewhere in your room. And we'll talk about sharpening your skills and having you on supercharge. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. I can't wait for next week. It sounds really, really awesome. I think I need a new plan for myself as well. Feels like I feel very much like that picture that you included of the what best and worst that could happen. My brain feels like that at this time of a semester. So thank you, Hanley. We already have one question for you. And I typed it in the chat as well. You said that it is important not to misuse social media. What will you regard as acceptable content to share about yourself?
Well, I'll let Neville answer that, but I just want to put the question back to the audience. What do they think is acceptable? Because we often find that they ask this, that teenagers ask this question, but they know exactly what is not acceptable. And if you think about business and employment, it's not difficult to know where the boundaries is. But I'm sure Neville has some interesting ideas. Neville, as you are much more experienced and much more user-friendly and using social media than I am.
Thank you, Anli. I think with the first one, when we talked about misuse, we actually referred to not to solely rely on social media as your number one go-to when it comes to networking. Face-to-face interactions are still very, very important and very valuable. And that's where you start to make the connection and build professional relationships. But with regarding to, with your question, I actually want to also throw it back to you. If you were in a position of hiring someone, what is the one thing, if you saw that on social media, that would turn you off to employing that individual? And I think therein lies the value of answering your question, is what would actually turn you away from contacting or networking with someone when you saw something specific on their social media?
That makes a lot of sense. Corin, will you please remember to post some questions for us when you receive them? Because these two are looking at me with very big eyes, awaiting some questions from our side. But I think it is important, what you said, Neville, that this goes from being a teenager all the way to one day being employed. It doesn't become less important as you grow older. It becomes more important maybe, but then also you can't erase what you posted ever. So if you posted it while you're in high school, it will live with you into the future as well.
Yeah, Linda, this is one of those topics, networking and the use of social media for networking, that sort of stuns the audience also into silence, because I think teenagers actually don't think about it. You have this dream, but your dream is not really not real. It's not touchable yet, and so we find that they actually don't think about networking, and that's exactly why we included this in Daring to Dream, because that is a step and a bridge into everything that happens once you finish with school. And people tend to, or high school learners tend to feel that now what, after they've done matric, and don't know where to go, and are also often not so sure about what they want to do with their lives. And that is where networking is really helping a lot to get you exposed to many different ideas, places, people, to broaden your horizon and informs you of more choices you could explore.
Yes, and then you also mentioned mentoring. While you're mentioning mentoring, I always find it quite difficult when people approach me and ask me, will I be a mentor to them? They just ask it, and then they kind of sit back and want me to be like this all-encompassing presence in their lives. They don't ask me anything, and then I don't know how to add, because being a mentor means giving good advice or being a helpful ear, or a sympathetic ear sometimes, but you can't ask someone to be a mentor and then expect them to know whatever you need.
Yeah, all comes back to communication. And as we said, a two-way street. You have to give as much as you want to receive, and it's facts that people don't always think about.
Here we have another question. You said that we should focus more on connecting with others regardless of our fears, but if we do not connect, especially through social media, how do we prevent engaging with things that may have a bad influence on us?
Neville, do you want to answer?
I was hoping you would take it. I just had a slight break in the internet. If you can just repeat the question, Leonta.
Yes, I'm pasting it in the chat for you as well. You said we should focus more on connecting with others regardless of our fears. But if we do connect, especially through social media, how do we prevent engaging with things that may have a bad influence on us?
Yeah, That is definitely a difficult question, because sometimes you won't know something is bad for you until it has happened, or when it comes to long-term consequences. I think the thing here is to remain mindful. It's when you are confronted with something that may have a bad influence on you through social media, I think it's just important to be mindful and start reflecting. I think it's important to ask yourselves, why do I want to engage in this? Would this be beneficial for me? And what are some possible long-term consequences that it can have on me? And if you can confidently answer those three questions in a positive way, then I think it would be safe to say, okay, let's take the chance to engage in it. But if you are through those few questions and you get this feeling, or you get an answer that, yes, there is a slight chance that this might have a bad influence on me, then I would advise that it would be better not to engage in that, if that makes sense.
I think if I can add to that, Neville, there's also a safety net. If we talk about networking and networking on social media, we are talking about networking with reputable companies, people that has achieved something that comes highly regarded in the communities where you highly regarded in the employment communities. So there is safety in connecting with people like that. So be very careful about keep your goal in mind. Is you want to connect with somebody that can help you take a step forward towards a career, the dream that you have, and that could be your safety net. The other thing is that when we connect with people on social media, we be mindful of what kind of platform are you using. You'll probably find less risks on a platform like LinkedIn than using a platform like TikTok. So also something to think about.
I think that moves towards our next question. How do you network using social media as a teenager? For example, reaching out to a person of interest or employee. Which social platform would you suggest a teenager to use? Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn? What do you suggest?
I think something important there to remember for high school learners is, are you going to connect with somebody that is the CEO of a company? Sometimes we have to start our networking not as wide as possible, but just around in our communities. Try and find people that is in your community, in your local town, that you admire and that maybe are doing a job that you're interested in, and try and connect with them. And as Neville said, don't only rely on social media. See if you can't connect in person, and then make the connection on social media. And that might be very helpful in making these connections.
I also saw, Lee, that while I was in school, it was very interesting to see what the parents of other children in my school were doing. And for sake, I was interested in what a pathologist was doing. So one of my friends' mothers worked at I think it was Pathcare at that time, and they actually arranged a visit for me to go and see what they were doing. And I think that's also something very helpful to do when you're considering a career, to make sure that you actually know what they are doing within that career before you spend all of the years studying towards something and then realizing it's definitely not what you wanted to do. To use other parents in your community for that as well.
Yeah. I think with teenagers, when you visit your friend's house, then you tend not to want to talk to the parents and the grandparents, but maybe you should just introduce yourself, have a short chat, and ask the questions about what that parent is doing. They're certainly going to think your reputation, as we said in the presentation, will definitely increase or get better when you engage with your friends' parents. It doesn't mean that you have to strike up a friendship with them, but just a simple conversation can be very helpful.
I agree. Okay, Corinne, there's not any other questions. Okay, so I think that will bring us to the end of our question session for this evening. Thank you so much. I'm quickly going to give you an overview again of remember why we are meeting with you over these 12 weeks. It all started with your idea. And I think in a lot of the training, it might have been difficult for you to remember that it is about your idea and that you need to build that idea. And the training was not aimed at convincing you that it was a bad idea. It was aimed at helping you develop your idea. And hopefully that then in the process of you developing this idea, you reflect on some of the choices you made, or you reflected on some of the assumptions that you made, so that your idea improved over time. So remember who will win this entire competition. You will now develop your final entry. So you completed all of these little assignments over the course of the 12 weeks. Apart from the weekly assignments, you will submit 2 additional documents. The first or assignments, the one being a short report, and there is a template available for that. And secondly, a new video. So please don't just resubmit the video that you used at the beginning of the process. Make a new video to actually show us that you have learned something through this entire journey. From that, and you will submit that by the 5th of July. From all of the final videos and reports that we receive, we will select a top 25. So that will be across all of the categories. Remember, we have 6 categories. So we will select 25 top finalists. And these 25 teams will then be subjected to an interview process. So you will be allocated a time slot during the June holidays. And so between the 5th of July and the when the schools will reopen on the 19th of July, you will have an interview, and it will be roughly 10 to 15 minutes long with a panel of judges. And it will be important for you to attend this interview with your teacher. We want to hear from both of you, or all 3 of you if you're a team entering. And we want to know then, apart from the questions that we can ask you about your specific idea, we will also like to hear from the teacher why they think you should win. Remember, they were your mentors through this process. They will be able to reflect on how much you've learned, how much you've grown, and the feasibility of your idea. And they will also know whether your parents actually helped you with this idea, or whether it's you that have implemented this. So that will be the ultimate deciding factor from the top 25 with a panel. Then remember that you guys will be our guests of honor at the prize giving event. You will have one of 2 venues that you can choose from to attend, either at Siemens Park in Midrand, or you can attend the prize giving at the engineering building in Potchefstroom as well. And at the event, we will then announce a category winner for each category, and we will also announce our overall winner. And the overall winner will then obviously also be one of those 5 category winners. What will they win? Remember that the winning team and their teacher will travel with me to Germany in the first week of December this year, so right after your exams. And you will also win a bursary. The students, not the teacher, unfortunately, will receive a bursary from Siemens to study towards an engineering or business degree at any university in the country. That's a really awesome prize to win. At the cost of higher education, that is really maybe the best part of the prize, and not necessarily the trip, but the trip I hope will be a good one as well. And then the category winners will receive a business and technology incubation service from the NWU Business School. This means that we will help you develop your business idea, and we will help you build the minimum viable product of your idea. So you will have something that you can use after that to turn this into a business for you. And then, very importantly, the school whose learners participate the most enthusiastically and prove your dedication during all of the training, and especially during those last few days. Once we have announced the top 25 teams, you will then also win a programming course and a robotics course presented by the Faculty of Engineering at the Northwest-Universiteit that will happen at your school. So at this point in time, I really need to give a shout out to Star College in Durban, who's been really active on social media. Their teacher have been in contact with me throughout the process, but then also if I look at social media, he's really supportive of his teams as well. So a shout out to you. You're our forerunner at this point in time, and I hope that this encourages other schools as well to support their learners as well as you are. Then I hope that all of you will feel like winners after this entire process, regardless of whether you're the ultimate winners. We hope that you have learned new skills that will carry you throughout your life, especially in the personal development aspects. If you missed any of the weeks, go back on our playlist on YouTube. And make sure that you take the most from that. The people that spoke to you every week are highly regarded psychologists, speech therapists, nutritionists. So please go and look at what they shared with you. If you had to spend money to spend time with these healthcare workers, it would have been out of reach for many people that would not be able to afford the time and the knowledge that they've shared with us, the wisdom as well. So please go and revisit the topics. It's really, really, really good content. I have a number of parent friends that have been watching this and learning from this. They don't have teenagers yet, but they're using it as a tool for themselves as adults as well. So it never goes out of fashion to learn about these things. So I hope that you guys are actually learning a lot from this. You will see that the judging criteria as shared on Ifundi with you and the templates for the report and the video is available on Ifundi, and that overall they will look at 4 categories when evaluating your submission. The first being how inspirational the idea is. In some cases, your ideas might be quite out there and not necessarily technically feasible, but we want to see whether you have an inspirational idea that will change the world around you. Then also the potential impact of your solution that will have on your community and how much that change will affect your community in a positive sense. Then we also want to see your passion and interest in science, technology, engineering, and math. If you are bored by your own content, that will be really bad. And then, of course, your communication skills. And that's also why we focus so many weeks on how to communicate effectively, how to carry yourself professionally, and how to get your message across, because these are skills that you will need to sell your ideas. I've had so many good ideas in my life, and only once I mastered how to sell that to people that have zero interest in your idea to start off with, that I become successful in sharing my ideas with others, convincing them that is a good idea, and convincing them to give me the funding to actually develop those ideas. So it is vitally important that you package your idea in such a way that I become as interested in the solution as you are when you are developing it. So think about what you're doing before you start doing it. So a few things to remember about a video pitch in general is, remember, we know that you are not daily contributors to video content. Some of you might be, but most of you aren't. So we don't expect you to be a film star, but we expect you to practice and think about what you're going to say before recording. So don't leave this for the final moment and then quickly record something just to submit it. Really reflect on what you're going to do before doing it. So write yourself a script, and you don't need to stick to it word by word when you record it, but write a script of everything that you want to say and then read it out loud for yourself to hear how long it takes to deliver. And that will help you to determine whether you are speaking too much or far too little. So remember, you need to fit your entire talk into 5 minutes. So make sure that you know, at least if you're reading this, and please don't read it for the final video, but that you at least know roughly how long it will take to deliver your content. Then also decide on your visual aids. That will be your slides, photos, or a prototype that you might be holding to show us something. And use that to tell the story. Don't have slides with with just words on them, like the one I'm including right now. It's a really bad example. Reflect on the slides that Hunter used, or the ones that I shared with you when I just wanted to share an idea. Because otherwise you're just going to read from those slides, and that will be very boring for you and for us. So use visual aids that will actually tweak our interest or explain better what you are trying to explain to us. Then also make sure that you know what you want to say and rehearse it a number of times before starting to record. Then also ensure that you are filming in a quiet environment. There my dogs are giving you a very good example of how not to do it. Because remember, it is important for us to hear what you're saying. Otherwise, we won't be able to judge your final entry. So do it in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed and where your mind won't wander because you are distracted with all of these things happening around you. Speak loudly and clearly while standing up straight, and avoid moving around too much. I received one video last year where the student recorded the video and obviously didn't watch it before submitting, because she wandered outside the area that was filmed, and with her wandering from the field, her voice also grew softer and softer, and it was useless in the end because we couldn't hear her very important message. And then if you're the one filming, remember that you can hold your device and steady it on a piece of furniture or something else that will help you keep the camera steady, so that you're not the guilty one that's moving around the screen. You can also use a stand to steady it. So be creative when you're doing that. You don't need expensive equipment. I've made my most popular videos using my phone. So phones these days can make amazing videos with good quality sound as well. So make the best of what you have. And then once you have recorded your video, make sure that you watch it before uploading it. And then once you've uploaded it, download it again to make sure that you uploaded the right version. Because otherwise you might submit something that was not your final version of the report or your final version of the video, and then all of us are stuck with an incomplete or an incorrect entry. I've also indicated 2 tools that you can use. I've used Canva to make all of the videos that I've shared with you thus far. You can use that to record as well. If you want to record using a laptop or a phone, you can use the recording version or the recording functionality in Canva. And Canva is a free to use software as well. In my template, you will see that there's a number of visuals included. Please don't just stick to the same pictures and just add your words. I've had a number of those as well, because my pictures won't tell your story. Remember, you need to use your pictures in the entry. So if you drag a photo over one of my existing photos, you'll see that it will automatically snap to the frame that was included. It will resize. So use it as an effective aid. You can also use your own template. You don't need to use my template for the video presentation or for the visual aids. I just included that because many of you might not have previous experience in that. So just make sure that your visuals, your pictures actually suit the story that you're telling. And then you can also, if you're not using Canva to record, you can use a free tool called Loom to record that video. It will have a nice video of you in the corner of your slides, and it makes it very easy for you to create a video of a slideshow. So remember that you can ask me any questions about your entry before you submit it. Any of your assignments that you want to redo, if you failed it previously, you can do that as well. All of the assignments are still open to accept resubmissions, and some of them are actually still accepting the original ones as well. So use your time wisely, and also ask before you do something that you're not entirely sure of, because I'd rather help you than have you share an idea that or submit something that you don't feel totally comfortable with. So that's all that I wanted to share with you this evening. Thank you again for entering the competition. It is very it's very nice to see how you are developing over time. Neville, I'll get to your question right now. I think you want to respond to the question that was submitted very late. So let me ask that question. So does this mean that we should use social media as a last resort for networking if we can't try other ways? So Neville, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. I just wanted to make sure that there's a clear understanding in, we're not saying that one method should be used above the others, but what we wanted to try and get across is that you shouldn't lose sight of the value that interpersonal interactions have, or, keeping an eye on the opportunities within your current environment. Social media is a key tool that you can use to exponentially grow your current network. And if you find that, you've explored various opportunities in your environment and you're not getting in touch with a person that you actually want, then you use the social media. But it's just to have a balance between both, and not just solely focus on social media or just focus on your environment.
I think that's very useful, Neville. Thank you so much for that. Hanley, is there any parting words that you would like to share before we say good night?
No, the only thing I want to say is good luck. It's such an exciting competition, and I'm sure you guys wish you can have 25 prizes.
Yes, definitely. I wish we didn't have to select only one. I want to take everyone with me.
But good luck to everybody. We really wish you the best in this competition.
Thank you so much. And thank you again to Neville and Hanley, and also for sticking around even after I've completed my rantings to still answer questions. I think that really proves your commitment to this process as well. So thank you so much. And I hope all of you are staying healthy and warm, and that you have a good week. And next week, I will see you for a last time before we announce the top 25 finalists, when I will hopefully join you from Berlin if everything goes according to plan. Have a great evening. Good night.